Hello and welcome back to this channel. So in today's tutorial, we're going to go ahead and illustrate this simple cute bird in Adobe Fresco. So let's just get started. Click on create new, go to print, and we're going to use the small postcard. If you don't see it in the landscape mode, click on this tiny arrow here and switch to landscape option and then click on that small postcard. Let's go ahead and bring in our color palette. By the way, I have provided a sketch for you as well. So if you want, you can go ahead and bring in the sketch as well. But if you want to use the sketch, you can find the link to both sketch and the color palette in the description box below. So once you have it downloaded, click on the images, go to your photos and bring in your sketch and also the color palette. I'm going to increase the size of the color palette so that it's easy for me to pick colors. So once you have the color palette, all you have to do is click and hold to choose that color and until this icon pops up. Once you have it, that color gets picked and you can just create a mark on your artboard. Doesn't matter which brush that you have. You don't really need all these grains, but whatever. So once you have this, you can go ahead and click on this I button to hide that. Click on the color palette and use the I button to hide that as well. So you have the sketch here. So I'm going to quickly hide this to show you how you can draw your own bird from scratch. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and use some random brush. It doesn't matter. I'll go to my favorites and use the Belgian comics brush for this. Click on a new layer. Okay, let's go ahead and draw the bird now. For that, you always need a bird that looks like this. So you see I have a pointed edge and I have a round edge, and if you want your bird to look cute, make sure you give it a bit of a tummy like that. You know, it should have a chubby tummy, and then you can always give a tail like this, obviously a beak and then eyes, and your bird should be ready. That's simple, right? So if you cannot draw this, like I told you, go ahead and use the sketch for this. By the way, I have a Skillshare class on how to draw these birds and florals in watercolor on like traditional paper and using real watercolor. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link to that class in the description box below. I also have a Udemy class on the same subject. So if you don't want to use Skillshare, you can always go and check out in Udemy. And for Skillshare, if you want to try it out, I have 2 weeks of free premium access. So the link is in the description box below. So go ahead and check it out as well. So, okay, so I'm going to uncheck that and bring in my sketch layer because we're going to draw with this thing. And in here, I'll go to my levels and click on multiply and then reduce the opacity to a little bit because we can see the artwork, but it's not, you know, overwhelmingly strong or very dark. So once you have this, I'm going to click on the transform tool here because I think I want my birdie to be a little bigger so that it fills in nicely in the center and the artboard. Click on done. So that looks good now. So click on a new layer. Now we're going to start drawing. And for this, I'm going to be using a nice brush. If you go into dry media, you'll see something called as contact crayon. And that's like one of the really nice brushes out there. So make sure you use that. And let's go ahead and start painting. We'll start off with the bird first. So for that, I'm going to go ahead into my color palette. Let me uncheck that. And I'll use the light pink that I have here. And I'll try to, change the setting. That is, I want it to be about 230 maybe. You don't have to be exactly in 230. You can always be around that number. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the color to this. You can actually bring your sketch layer all the way to top so that you can see what's happening. And I'm going to go ahead and press a little bit so that it's a little nicer. And you're going to color it just above this layer, not too much anywhere, and just above this layer like that. And let's go ahead to our darker pink that we have, this one and not the bright one. And I'm going to go ahead and add a bit like this. Just going to go above a beak a little bit and right below the eye and like that. Let's make it here like this. If you feel you want more pink, you can just go to pink and just add it above that so that it doesn't, there's no gap between the colors, and you know, you can just add it here and there like that. I'm gonna add a bit here as well. I forgot about that. So go ahead and use the other pink and maybe add a bit here as well like that. Okay. And now let's go ahead and use the pink color. That's the bright pink that we have. And then you can draw some lines like that. Make sure you draw here as well. I'm gonna add a bit here. And I'm going to go ahead and add a bit of pop of color, but that brush doesn't look so good. So I'm going to reduce this a bit to about 90s and see if I can make some colors like this. I'll use a bit of a pinkish, not the lighter one, a little darker one, and try to make it like that. I want to add some here as well. You can choose the other pink also and just draw some things. All right, and once you have that ready, I'm gonna undo the sketch to just look at how this is coming up. Okay, that looks good. Now I'll go to black. We want to add an eye, but I don't want to use this brush. I want to use something called as Belgian Comics. You can go into ink and there is Belgian Comics, and we're going to add the eye. So you can bring in the sketch again if you're not confident. And this is set to about 82. You can choose whatever you want. And then I'm going to add a beak. Okay, that looks good. And obviously we have to add this cute little feet. So let's just look at a cute bird, and I think it's ready. So let's do all the elements around it. So this should be pretty simple. I'm just going to go ahead and go to the bird layer and click on a new layer, and then you bring it below the bird layer. And now let's go ahead and choose our colors. I'm going to choose this bright green here and color some of the leaves. I'm not going to use it on all the leaves, and I'm going to go back to contact crayon. And you can go ahead and choose, and you can increase this size if you want like really rough edges. Sometimes it's nice to have rough edges, right? Looks pretty cool. For example, if I uncheck this, you can see all the rough edges. That's what brings the beauty out in this illustration. Now we'll use the yellow green, that's the green gold, and use that to color some of the leaves as well. Okay, and let's choose the next green that we have and try to cover some of them. And then let's choose the darker green that we have and try to draw in. It's too dark. Make it a little lighter by moving this up here and fill in the rest of the leaves. Okay, so once you have that, I'm going to go into my color palette, and I have a really dark green here. As you can see, it's really right there, and I'm going to reduce the size to about, by the way, if it's really hard for you to adjust the size here, you can click and hold on this number and it gives you a keyboard, so you can type in whatever you want. So I'm just going to say 76, and then it should be fine. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and draw the stalks for this. You can see I'm drawing it, but I'm not making sure that everything is all right. You can see it's like really broken, but that's okay. That looks good as well. You can do this on a new layer as well. Let's do that on a new layer, the rest of them at least. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. While I'm doing that, I'm going to give an outline to some leaves, not everything, just some of them. You can just uncheck the sketch and take a look at what's happening. And as you can see, I'm leaving out some white spaces and stuff because that kind of looks nice. Okay, let's just take a look, and that looks fine as well. Like I told you, you can go ahead and add some things here as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on a new layer now and bring it below all the leaf layers because we want to go ahead and create a tree branch. So let's just do that, uncheck that and go to that layer. You're going to choose a brown that we have and you can just color it like that. You can increase the size, by the way. And to make it more interesting, you can actually go ahead and choose a lighter brown and add a bit here and there. That looks good now. And now it's time to add these berries. So click on a new layer and the berries are going to be on top. So we're going to bring it all the way to the top. Go ahead and click on the dark brown that you have on your artboard. I think it's this one. Reduce the size to about 76. Click and hold. 76. I'm going to go ahead and draw this. First, draw all the stalks. You can put in the colors later. That is, you can put in the berry later. Okay, and let's go to red and draw in the berries. And when you're drawing in berries, I would recommend that you go here and click on a darker red and draw some berries which are a bit darker in color. I forgot to do that here. That should be okay. And choose the red. You can click and hold and choose the color from your artboard. Okay, I think that's done. There's some rogue stroke here, so I'll try to erase it by using my eraser tool. Once you have it, uncheck the sketch and you can see the artwork. And now all you have to do is add some text, that is if you really want to. So I'm going to go ahead and use the brush contact crayon itself and use a dark black or something and click on a new layer. Always put it on a new layer and let's write spring. And if you don't like how it's turned out, you can use the transform tool to either make it small or big, and then you can do however you want. Or even turn it around to 90 degrees. It snaps. And then you can place it wherever you want. Uncheck that and draw. There you go. So your artwork is ready. All you have to do is click on this export and publish and export it as a PNG or anything. By the way, if you don't want to background in your export, you just have to go all the way down to this image layer and uncheck it. And now if you export it as a PNG, it'll come as an image without any background. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial and I hope you liked it. I know it was a very simple illustration and we did mostly coloring, but yeah, if you want to learn how to draw birds in detail, you can go check out my Skillshare or Udemy class. And if you like the tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and click on that subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. I usually post a new fresco video every Tuesday, so don't forget to check back in to see what I've created for you in the next week as well. If you want to support me, you can always buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com. You can find the link in the description box below. It's okay if you don't want to support me there. You can always support me by sharing this video with friends or anyone who is interested in Adobe Fresco, or sharing it on your social media, etc. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video then. Bye-bye.